Morning, everybody. It's Andy from Life Fitness here. Hope you're staying healthy and well. Wanted to just talk a little bit today and bring in a colleague of mine to talk a little bit about something that we're all seeing now as we move through this pandemic and hopefully get to sort of open our doors again. And that's around the digital experience that we're all seeing right now. You know, we're seeing that a lot of our members at this moment in time are actually at home. They're surfing the internet. They're finding workouts through Life Fitness on Demand, through Les Mills Online. They're looking at Instagram stuff, Facebook Live, and really digital seems to be taking over a lot of the workout experience right now while we're at home and working from home and with the families. And so today I've brought onto the call my colleague from Europe, Leon Rudge. Leon is our director of digital experience from an international perspective. And wanted just to have Leon, welcome Leon onto this call today. And we're going to talk a little bit about kind of the digital experience right now and what that could look like in the future. So just wanted to thank Leon for coming on. And Leon, if you could introduce yourself, that would be great.
Yeah, as Andy said, I'm the director of digital experience for our international business. I've been with Life Fitness for 7 years now, I believe, and it's essentially my role to help the industry and customers solve problems with digital technology. So I spend a lot of time with customers on, not just experiences, not just technology, not just digital, but also strategy. So that's essentially my role.
So tell us a little bit, Leon, about kind of how digital has had an impact in the fitness industry sort of over the last few years. Kind of bring us up to speed if you can.
Yeah, I think digital's. I don't think it's had a huge impact on the commercial fitness industry. I think it's had a massive impact in the consumer space, so consumer health and fitness.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's had a really big impact there. We've seen the evolution of wearables and apps, and we've seen the usage and the sustained usage of those be very, very successful. And I remember when I first set out at Life Fitness, and I remember being with operators and saying, it was the time of the Fitbit Flex. You remember the 4 dots where you would tap it? And I'd say to customers, have you seen the Fitbit? Or operators, have you seen the Fitbit? And I said, what's a Fitbit? It wasn't even on the radar yet. It was a released product. And, it wasn't going to change our world, but, it was certainly the early smatterings of digital coming into the health and fitness space. We've seen that accelerate hugely with people like Apple. I mean, if you look at Apple, they've created GymKit, they've integrated with equipment, but the challenge with that for Apple is it requires the equipment to catch up. The equipment and the facility has to be capable of working with the watch. Right. And when you've got a 5-year or so swap out cycle, it can take a time for that to catch up. So Apple have moved on again and created, Apple Watch Connected, which is more about the facility embracing Apple. So you use it for payments, you integrate your app, et cetera, et cetera. So they're really starting to ramp up where they're coming into fitness. But the challenge that we have in commercial fitness, we're still trying to figure out class bookings and programming, while Apple are, coming into our industry, and we don't even have a big tech strategy. We don't even understand or really have a plan for, there'll come a time when the big techs can map the entire gym industry. And I don't think that's a million miles away. So we're seeing the reason we're seeing huge acceleration in consumer health and fitness technology, but we're not really seeing the same adoption in the commercial space. And it's not just down to the equipment being capable and the swap out cycles. A lot of it's down to culture. A lot of it's down to creating roles and having strategies and, doing all of those things that businesses should be doing. Yeah. Because we constantly double down on trying to recreate our traditional business or reinvent our traditional business. So we've been very slow to adopt. I think it's fair to say. Again, I still have conversations with customers about internet bandwidth, and we should be in that space right now. Right. So that's kind of how I see it. So that I think the space has grown massively, but in the commercial space, I think we're still a bit far behind, which is okay. We just need to be conscious of that and catch up.
Yeah, that's really good. Kind of, I guess, catch up as to where we're at right now. We're seeing Apple as well in the US, certainly in my space in the YMCA's, really start to disrupt that segment as well, coming in. And you talked about there, you know, coming into facilities and having those conversations. There are a number of Ys now around the US that are adopting that, and it's really interesting to see how their strategy's changing. You know, So how is the coronavirus and this global pandemic kind of affecting, I guess, the speed and also the digestion of digital as a fitness resource?
Yeah, I think it's it's going to have a positive impact on digital. I think one of the, I mean, you know, you'll know this, and maybe some people listening, Andy, but you know, I've been on a kind of single man crusade campaigning for gyms to at least start looking to embrace digital as part of their business, you know, not even a new business model, but just part of their service offering,
right,
for many years. And I think we've kind of reached the point where we have unintentionally had to implement some digital services. But I think the challenge we got now is there's this infused confusion of, you know, this is digital transformation, this is the pivot point for digital, and it's not. It 100% isn't. It, you know, it is. You know, it's crisis response, and I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. When you don't have a physical business, we're very, very lucky that there's such a thing as digital, which can provide us with another channel to connect to our customers and try and deliver our services as best we can, you know, to our members at home. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's a pivot point. I'm not sure. I don't know is the honest answer to that. If nothing else, I think, you know, I think this horrid COVID-19 situation is going to make operators and the industry more aware, and members more aware of digital and its capability. But I think what we need to appreciate as operators is COVID-19 and quarantine hasn't carved out a new market, right?
Right.
The at-home market has existed for decades. And I've spoken to a number of people, Andy, and I'm yet to get to you, but in terms of like, I spoke to a number of experienced people in our industry, and I've asked the question, has an operator ever released at-home workouts on a DVD or a VHS cassette? And I can't find one operator that's done that. So, you know, that has existed forever, but why is it different now? The channel's different, it's digital. Right. But before it was TV and DVD, and before that VHS. So, you know, before that newspaper or magazine. So, why is it any different now? And the only difference is we're quarantined and we don't have physical businesses. So, it's absolutely the natural channel for us to chase after. But my message to operators is don't get too distracted on this being. You know, the pivot point for you. This is simply crisis response, and the crisis response you might, and so keep doing it. But if you do it well, like really take a look at what you're doing and ask yourself, is this good? You know, we've seen some really bad examples of you know, on demand and at home workouts and live workouts. You know, so if you're going to do it, you know, tidy it up, do it well, but keep doing it, because who knows how long we might be out of quarantine in a matter of weeks, months, whatever, wherever you are in the world, right? But I think the crisis will continue because, you know, we're going to be one of those industries that can't bring in the hundreds of members a day that we wanted to.
Absolutely.
So we're going to have to continue it, mate. And you know, so we can't just switch off the digital. But so keep doing what you're doing, but essentially make sure there's metrics in there to test, measure, and learn. So what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Who's using it? Who's not? Why aren't they? You know, do they like it? Don't they like it? And that'll start thinking about what your longer term strategy looks like. So I think to summarize all of that, sure, it's we're tapping into we're not even tapping into a new market. We're just reaching out to our members. You know, the at-home market has always exists, but all we're doing is providing a similar service to our members through a different channel. It's not even, you know, transformative. It's just crisis. So, you know, is there a market on the back end of this? And the way I'm saying the gyms is, and the operators that I'm working with and talking to is, this is probably going to end up just an extension of your current service. So, you will offer your members for the same membership price, so it'll be a cost. For the same membership price, just the additional service of being able to work out at home. By the way, I've never heard a member, and this is subjective, it's my opinion, I've never heard a member say, hey, I would love to do these workouts at home, and hey, I would love to do this class at home, because we love going to the gym, right? So all we're doing is providing the similar service to the same customer, which is probably just a service extension for no additional cost.
Right.
It could then, the gyms might then consider thinking, well, actually, this could be a new business model. I can charge for it. But what the gyms might want to charge for it is completely different to what members might want to pay for it. I'm a member of a premium club, and I don't think I'd want to spend an extra, I don't know, $7, $8, $2 on the service. So, is it a business model? Is it an extension, or is it a completely new company? So all we're doing is using a new channel with the same market. So it's let's not get too distracted and overexcited about it. I know the digital companies are all getting a bit, excited about this is the new future, but it's not. It's not. I don't think it's our world isn't going to change. So, I think the final piece to that is digital has always been a great complement to what we do, and I'm the biggest fan of digital. What we need to do is, as I said, test, measure, and learn through crisis, and then understand through strategy development and understand what the longer term looks like, right, and get it right, because doing digital for digital's sake is a complete waste of time and money. It doesn't increase the experience, and it might not even be something that you should chase after. It literally might not be our business. It might not be something our members want. So you need to figure out who the customer is, and all these great things that, the operators that we work with and the Ys, people that run the Ys, they know how to do this stuff. They know who their customers are, but just do that for, and they know what they want, but just, it's a new customer base. And I think, I'm not sure if it's one we want to go after. If I think about the at-home market, and again, this is subjective, no research, no validation, but, the at-home markets are the guys that get the celebrity DVDs on a January and they're quit by the 4th of January, and they want to pay $10 and that's that. As operators, do we want a $10 a year member who's going to fail in year 2 and we're going to put a lot of time, effort and resource into that?
Sure.
I don't know, but
I guess there's an element of right now of meeting our customers where they are, right? So right now they're at home, they're working out there, and part of the conversation that I'm having with the Ys right now is we're talking about what that legacy looks like. It may be that there are people out there right now that aren't working out at all, and now they've experienced maybe some digital form of workout, and now they're thinking about, well, where does my journey go next? And hopefully, if the Y can bring their content in on that, it actually meets that need, and we can get people into facilities.
Massive, and that's the thing. So right now we just need a crisis response to our current members, and we do that because we're looking after our members, we're embracing digital to look after our staff, and we're also protecting our business. That's phase 1. That's crisis response. Phase 2 would be to look at all of these tools and platforms that we've invested in or not, and said, is there a new market out there? Is there a percentage of that at-home market that will work for $2.99 a month? And once they learn the moves, once they learn, we love the gym, right? We love packing our kit and going, I'm going to the gym. They don't. We know there's a population of people that hate the gym. Is there a new business model there where we can take these platforms and go, this is really easy to pivot, but sometimes it can look the same, taste the same, feel the same, but actually be completely different. It requires different skills, different knowledge, different technical capabilities, and it can actually, it can actually be disastrous to try and go after something that looks the same. So strategy will allow you to test the model, and business model test whether something's going to work. But you got the platform, why not pivot it? It's the kind of, we got Uber, why not have Uber Eats? So it's the exact same thing.
So what are you hearing from other customers sort of internationally, that what are they thinking about digital, and how are they, you know, thinking about pivoting from where they're at right now to maybe making that an in-club model?
Yeah, so what's really, I mean, we're seeing most people are still in crisis response. So, you know, and I got to be honest, we weren't ready for this as gyms. You know, Frank van der Ven, our vice president international, would, you know, he always says you need a strategy that's got a big enough suspension it can take the big bumps. And for many years, I've spent time with customers asking them to scenario plan what would happen if they were had somebody compete with them that was either a technology or a, you know, a modern digital company, and just have that kind of stuff on the shelf that they could dust off and implement quickly. Not many people have that. I've spoken to a few that have had that, and we've seen them come out the door, and, you know, with high quality, you know, on demand and live, and they've been able, some people have even put a dollar price to it, etc. So we've seen that, but others are most in crisis response. And if you imagine with the government furlough schemes and different furlough schemes around the world, a lot of these operators are running at you know, a nominal staff that are, you know, strategically doing all these other things. So we're really just seeing crisis response. We're seeing the digital companies really stepping up and saying, guys, don't sweat this. You know, Live Fitness has done the same. Don't sweat this. Here is license free for 90 days. Just take a look at it and implement it. I think that's great, and that's generally what we're seeing. But we are seeing some companies, you know, dust off some strategies and start to, you know, accelerate some things. Like I said, charging for this kind of content. But I don't think now is the time to put a dollar price to anything. You know, we just need to help customers, help members, help the community. You know, mentally and physically, be physically active. But we're starting to see evolution, right? First of all, everyone with an app, you know, was saying, right, how do we convert this so we can deliver at-home workouts? That was phase one. Phase two was, right, how can we, you know, film on YouTube and Vimeo and put that into the app and deliver that so we got on-demand workouts? You know, working with brands like Les Mills and Wexer and, you know, all of those guys, and saying, right, thanks for the content. Well, how else can we deliver that? We did the same with ICG, so we were able to take the indoor cycling content and put that out. So we're seeing them building portals that they're sending to members to say, you know, have a look at this. Here's some content to keep you engaged. But we're really starting to see some success with live. You know, people like the live workouts. You know, whether they're over social media, as in, you know, your Instagram stories or your Instagram lives, etc., or your Facebook lives, you know, they seem to be successful. We've got trainers in Live Fitness, so but live seems to be taking the ticket a little bit more. And again, with, you know, completely unvalidated, but, you know, it feels like as we start to business model, you know, and test as operators, you know, I think live might be the winner. You know, so if a person who hates going to the gym right now, but I still want to join a gym class, almost like the Peloton-esque, you know, and I don't want to bring Peloton into on-demand and live, because they're a little bit more than that. They're a little bit, you know, it's a little bit sexier than just live. You know, I think there's a bit more to it than that, but, you know, as we know them as a media company. So I think, but I think, you know, and I don't know this, but I think people would want to join the class. And I think that's, you know, so you might have 15 people socially distanced in the studio, where other people can join the same class that they couldn't get in live, or they might be a home member joining the same class. And once they learn the moves, they might start coming to the gym, you know. So, so we are seeing people testing this stuff, but to be honest with you, Andy, we're not really seeing people engage immersively in it, and certainly strategic development, because, in, you know, as much as the technology and digital and software fraternity is saying this is it, we got memberships to get back, we got revenues to protect, we got staff to look after, and we got facilities to look after. We got other priorities. So that's what I'm saying. Keep that crisis response up. You're doing great. Like the world is doing great. The industry is doing great. You know, some of it looks bad, and tidy it up, and, you know, because it does reflect bad on the brand. But don't stop doing what you're doing. Just make sure you're adding the test, measure, learn into that. You know, why are you doing it? Why is it working? Why is it not? Give it a little bit more love than just saying, hey, here's a link and an email. And then when you solve the initial problems and the doors start to open again, then start thinking of introducing your second speed of adding that transformative strategy in.
Perfect.
But right now, I'm really, and this might be disappointing, mate, we're not really seeing anything. There's not really one system out there that everyone's flocked to. So if you look at, say, this Zoom, for instance, what we're on, 2 million to 8 million users plus or whatever, it's just gone absolutely insane because it's what people wanted, and it's good. And we're not really seeing that in fitness. People aren't really flocking to one platform, which means to say suppliers weren't ready, and nor were gyms. So we're not really seeing a standout winner.
So you're saying it was just more, it was just reactionary. It was just like, we need to get something out there. Let's do this. Yeah, because
we weren't ready for it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And strategically, we weren't ready for it, right? We didn't have a big enough suspension. So I'm not saying that gyms should have, it's probably a terrible analogy, but if you think of times of conflict, scenario planning happens in times of conflict. There's piles of scenarios on what would happen if. And if it wasn't COVID-19 that closed our doors, it could have been the weather, the climate, it could have been anything. I've been doing some research on people requesting things like online workouts. And I've seen some amazing spikes over the world. I've drilled this down to like the Andalusian region of Spain, where there was a where there was a listeria outbreak, and online workouts searches peaked. So this isn't a new thing for us, but we should have been ready for. There can be anything that would close our doors as gyms and as suppliers, and but as we should always be ready for something disruptive, whether it's a technology, whether it's a company, or whether it's force majeure, an act of nature. We should always be ready for this. And it might just be we should be days behind, not weeks. Sure. And I think that's so we're seeing people starting to implement those, people being slicker and quicker, and people really scrappy and slow. So but hey, keep doing what they're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing, because you've got to connect with the members.
Fantastic.
Nothing to that'll blow your mind, but it is crisis response, and I wouldn't expect anything less.
Well, and it's really good from our perspective, Leon, for us to hear that from somebody who's a lot closer to it than the rest of us, on a day-to-day basis. And certainly a lot of the research that you're just talking about there is obviously really good for us to hear, and the fact that maybe it will make us think as an industry a little bit more about what this looks like in the future, and how we can utilize what we're learning right now to be able to implement that maybe on a more regular basis. But actually, if those doors close again, it gives us a really much better example of what we can do. So really appreciate you taking the time with me today to go through this. Thanks for kind of agreeing to do this. We're really appreciative of your time. I know how busy you are right now, so I know it's kind of going a bit crazy over there with the discussions and the workload you've got, but really appreciative of that. And for everybody else that's listening, appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to this. Hope it was useful. Hope you got some stuff out of it. And as Leon said, please keep doing what you're doing, because it's phenomenal for our industry. It's keeping our members moving. And we know that soon, very soon, we'll be able to get those guys back in the door, and we'll be able to get them working out again, and it will be great for us all. So would love to hear your feedback. If you've got any comments, drop them in the box below. Otherwise, have a fantastic rest of the week, and thanks for taking the time. Speak to you soon. Thanks again, Leon.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Andy.